Morning. Looks like we already have some people on. That's good. Guys over in the chat. I hope you guys are doing well this morning. It's good to have Abby and Jonah, Hannah, Isabella on here so far. Give a few more minutes to let anybody else jump on that would like to. There will be a question today. It'll kind of be a question that goes with the whole book. I can't believe that we're already at the end of the story. It's kind of gone by fast. We're at the end of the school year. Tomorrow will be our last Zoom, and then we're done. So I appreciate all of you that have joined with us, even if you've had to miss and you've gone back and listened to the story later, or just kind of caught bits and pieces, or if you've been here every time. I appreciate that. I appreciate the support. I love to hear that you guys are enjoying the book. It does seem like that because you've done a good job with responding. It's a really good story. So it's been great having people from our class on here and also people from different classes or other grown-ups that have also joined. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. The question today is, what have you learned about how to act towards people who are different than you, or how to treat people who are different than you? And think about this story. So I'll type the question into the chat. Okay, so go ahead and just wait till the end of the story, and that question will kind of be a reflective question over the whole story, not necessarily with the chapters that we read today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we'll finish the book. So chapter 30. What happened today was all my fault. I should have listened. We should have stayed home and spent the day together, but we didn't because of me. So just as a reminder, on Monday, what we read was Penny, Melody's little sister, got ran over by the car. And now Melody is thinking it's her fault because if they would have stayed home, this wouldn't have happened. When I woke this morning, it was raining. Thunder, lightning, wind, a constant soaking downpour that laughed at umbrellas and raincoats. The air itself was gray, heavy, thick, with too much moisture. I could hear it pounding on my window. Dad came into my room and sat down in our old reading chair. He held his wrist carefully. Mom had put his arm in a sling. Messy day out there, he said. I nodded. Oh, you know what? I already read that chapter. Sorry. We're on chapter 31. Sorry about that. Yep. Okay, chapter 31. The air felt thick and damp, like the silence that followed the screaming and crying sirens. The rain had slowed to a drizzle. After Mom and Dad left with the ambulance, Ms. V took me out of the car and sat me in my chair. She placed the soggy, filthy doodle on my tray. I found this under the car, she said, her voice shaky. I touched it and burst into tears. As she rolled me to our house, she said, We're going to clean Doodle up and have him waiting for Penny when she comes home. You hear? I couldn't tell if she was trying to convince me or herself. I felt dizzy and nauseous. I could not stop shaking. After changing my clothes into warm, dry sweat, she switched the radio to an easy listening station and turned the volume down low. The only color I heard was gray. Miss V stood behind me, gently rubbing my shoulders. Are you hungry? She asked. I shook my head no. She continued to massage my back and shoulders until we both could feel the tension slipping away. I'm going to go next door to get your talker and the dog, she said. You want anything else? I shook my head and continued listening to the tones of the smoky gray. When she got back, Butterscotch seemed nervous. She kept pacing and sniffing, as if she was looking for something. I think she's looking for Penny, Miss V said. Dogs know. She hooked up Elvira to my chair and switched it on, but there was nothing either of us could say. It's not your fault, you know, she said finally. I shook my head forcefully. Miss V should know better than to say stuff just to make me feel better. I mean it, Melody. It's not your fault. Yes, it is, I replied on my talker. I turned the volume up loud. Miss V walked around to where I could see her. Leaned down until her face was just inches from my own. You did your best to warn your mother. You should be proud of yourself. Not proud. Not enough, I typed. Sometimes things happen that are beyond our control, Melody. You did everything right. The guilt bubbled up then. The screen's really dark. Hi, Angel. That's better. Sometimes things happen that are beyond our control, Melody. You did everything right. The guilt bubbled up then. I was mad at Penny, I typed, slower than usual. Penny knows you love her, she said. Tears slid down my cheeks. Made Mom take me to school. So what? The fact that you insisted on going to school, even after what happened to you yesterday, shows you're a strong person. A better person than anyone there. I'm proud of you for that. Don't be. I'm sure Penny will be just fine, Miss V just said, but her voice said otherwise. For the first time I could remember, Miss V sounded unsure. Will she die? I had to know. She was alive and breathing when the ambulance took her, so I'm going to believe that's still the case. Toddlers are very resilient, you know. I had to know something else. Her brain messed up? I asked. I had seen enough television shows on brain trauma to know it was possible. My classmate Jill had been in a car accident. I couldn't bear to see Penny like that. Miss V answered thoughtfully and honestly. I suppose it's possible, but I pray that's not the case. 2 broken kids, I typed. Just the idea almost made me gag. That's not going to happen, Melody, but Miss Voice wavered. I heard it. I was still for a moment, then I typed. It should have been me. Huh? What do you mean? Nobody would miss me. Now you just stop that stupid talk like that. My whole world would fall apart if something ever happened to you. Your parents as well. I'm not sure I believed her. I tilted my head. Really? I typed. I plan to wear purple to your college graduation. Far away and very hard. Like making the quiz team, they left me. And they lost. I glanced out of her large picture window and watched the wet branches away. How could I say it? I looked back at my talker and typed very slowly. I want to be like other kids. So you want to be mean and fake and thoughtless? I looked up at her at an angry face and looked away. No, normal. Normal stinks, she roared. People love you because you're Melody, not because of what you can or cannot do. Give us a little credit. I want it to be yesterday, I typed. Yesterday your heart was broken because they left you behind, remember? Rather have that than this. I know. Oh, Melody, I know. I'm scared. Me too. The silent room echoed our thoughts. I had a goldfish. He jumped out of his bowl, I typed then. I remember your mom telling me about that. Tried to save him. Couldn't. The phone rang then, startling both of us. I jerked in my chair. Miss V picked it up. Yes, she said. I strained to listen. Oh, no, she said. My heart dropped beneath my chair. She listened for a long time. Oh, yes, she said finally. Then she burst into tears and hung up. Is Penny dead? I typed. The world was spinning. Miss V wiped her eyes, looked at me, and took a deep breath. She has some internal injuries, a badly broken leg, but she survived the surgery. She's gonna live. Then she cried once more. Normal doesn't stink at all. Chapter 32. It's Monday, so I have to return to school today. The temperature has dropped and the sun is glowing like some kind of frosted golden jewel. Yet everything feels different and not quite right. Mom spent the weekend at the hospital with Penny, sleeping on a cot in her room. I have not seen her since. Well, since everything changed. I wonder if Mom is still mad at me. Miss V comes over and helps me get dressed and fed. Even Butterscotch seems to miss Penny. She puts her head in my lap and looks at me with lonely eyes. I can't help her. Dad is a mess. He keeps dropping things like forks and keys. He starts to talk, then forgets what he's going to say. He hasn't shaved. Go and get yourself together, Chuck, Miss V finally tells him. A hot shower and a cold glass of orange juice will do you wonders. When you go see Penny this morning, you don't want to scare the child, do you? You're right, Dad replies. You've got Melody covered? I'll see she gets on the bus. Now scoot. He bounds up the stairs to the bathroom. Penny better? I tap on my board. Yes, oh yes. When I spoke to your mom this morning, she told me that they have taken her off the IV already. Penny was eating applesauce, complaining about her cast, and asking for doodle, which I've got cleaned up and ready for her. Penny is going to be fine, Melody. Just fine. I inhale deeply. Miss V spoons eggs into my mouth, but my stomach rolls with worry. Her leg? I ask. Her leg is in a cast. It's big and chunky and will annoy the heck out of her, but doctors have said that when she gets stronger, she'll even be able to walk in it. I'm glad Miss V always talks straight with me. Wheelchair? I can't think of anything worse than teeny baby wheelchair. No, they want her to move around as much as possible. I breathe a sigh of relief. Her head? I ask. Miss V understands. No brain damage, Melody. None. I exhale slowly. You sure? I spell out. Absolutely. I saw her myself last night. She bumped her head when she fell, but the car hit her leg. It didn't touch her head at all. The school bus honks then, so Miss V wheels me down to the drive to meet it. She checks my backpack, adjusts my foot straps, and gives me a big hug. You ready, Melody? Ready to face the quiz team? I nod. After what had happened, facing a bunch of snotty fifth graders will be easy. Gus looks at me with concern as he lowers the bus lift. How's your little sister? He asks me. That is so scary. Gonna be okay, I type. Thanks. I realize right then the news like that travels fast. Everybody at school will probably know as well. Gus wheels me into the lift and pushes the button to raise it as I wave goodbye to Miss V. The ride to school is strangely quiet. None of the usual squeaks and grunts from students who ride the special bus. When we get to school, the air is chilly, so the aides take us directly to room H5. As we get settled, I look at my friends through different eyes. Freddie, who wants to zoom to the moon. Ashley, our fashion model. Willie, the baseball expert. Maria, who has no enemies. Gloria, the music lover. Carl, our resident gourmet. Jill, who might have once been like Penny. No one, not one of them even knows how to be mean. And me, the dreamer who tries to escape room H5. A kid with a computer named Elvira. I don't even know where I belong anymore. Yeah, let me check the chat. Okay. Catherine comes in wearing a new outfit that is acutely cute and stylish. Tan slacks, black sweater, and a vest. Nice outfit, I tell her. Thanks, and I did it all by myself. I have something for you. I point to my book bag. She reaches into my bag, digs around, and finds the card that almost led to tragedy. After she reads it, she blinks back, tears. No, Melody, thank you. She leans over and hugs me. Then she looks serious and says, Miss E called and told me all about what happened with your sister. How's she doing? Better, I type. You know, you probably saved her life, Catherine tells me. What? Seriously, your screaming and yelling slowed your mother down, gave her time to figure out why you were acting like you had hot potatoes in your pants. Could not stop, Mom, I typed. You did exactly the right thing. I'm so proud of you. Really? Really? Especially after all you'd been through at the airport? You want to talk about it? No, I type and look away. Maria comes over to my chair and gives me a big hug. You did good, Melly Belly, she says. Real good. I'm not sure if she's talking about the quiz team or something else, but my eyes got all drippy and my nose starts to run. I wish I could give her a big squeeze back to let her know how good she made me feel, but I just tap, thanks. I'm never sure how much Freddie is aware of what's going on in the world around him, so he surprises me when he zips over to me and asks, Melly, go zoom in a plane? He looks excited, maybe even envious. No, Freddie, I type. No plane, no zoom. His face scrunches up into sadness, then he drives away. Miss Shannon comes over next and squats beside me. Your head must be near about ready to explode from all the things that happened the past few days. Boom, I type, but I don't feel like smiling. Let's talk at lunch, okay, Melody? Okay. Are you going to your inclusion classes, she asked? Yes, I tap, as I thought about it all weekend. When I wasn't thinking about Penny, I wasn't going to hide. I want you to know I'm very proud of you. She gives me a big thumbs up and then gets our morning routine going. As it turns out, Miss Gordon is absent today, so the first inclusion class I attend is Mr. Demings. Are you sure you want to go? Catherine asked me. Instead of answering, I power my chair toward Mr. D's door. Catherine rests a hand on my shoulder as I whir in. A small brass-colored trophy sits on Mr. D's desk. The room is quieter than normal. Mr. Deming clears his throat. He shifts from one foot to another. He runs his finger around his collar of his dim white shirt. He's back to his old, well-worn brown suit, his old shoes as well. Finally, he says, "Hello, Melody." His voice sounds fake and cheerful. I do not reply. He wiggles so much he looks like he's about that he has to go to the bathroom. I just watch him. No kicks for me, no weird sounds. I'm amazingly calm. I glance over at Rose, but she's looking in the other direction. No one seems to know what to say. At least I break the silence. I turn the volume up loud on my machine, and then I type out, "Why did you leave me?" Somebody should have been there with a video camera proving that yes, a 5th grade classroom can be totally quiet. Faces search other faces, each one willing another to speak. Eventually, Rose stands up. She looks directly at me and says, "We didn't plan to leave you, Melody, honest." I look at her dead in the eye and wait. I don't react at all, I just wait. She continues, "We all went out to breakfast early that morning." I interrupt. "Nobody told me about that. How come?" None of them answer. Their silence says what their words cannot. It's better without me. I blink real fast. Claire finally stammers, "We figured you'd slow us down because you have to be fed and stuff. It's so quiet. I think I can hear my own heartbeat." "You threw up. Nobody left you." "Oh, snap," I hear Rodney whisper. Claire stares down at her desk. "Who took my place?" Claire lifts her hand slightly, but she won't look back at me. Rose scrapes at a spot in her history book. We finished breakfast really fast because we were all excited, so we got to the airport extra early. Connor stands up then. He looks uncomfortable. "So when we got to the airport, they told us that the noon flight had just been canceled, but that we could make an early flight if we hurried." Molly speaks next. "So we checked our stuff real fast, then ran like track stars, even Mr. Deming, down to the gate to get that early flight." "Nobody thought of me?" I asked. Silence again. Finally, Alina says, "I did. I was the first one to board the plane. Just as I gave my boarding pass to the agent, I reminded Mr. Deming that you were missing." Mr. Deming again twists from one foot to another. "I was so busy trying to count heads and check seating assignments and deal with everybody's carry-on bags, so I asked the kids to call you at home. I knew Rose, at least, had your number to call the phone." All eyes shift to Rose. She looks at me at the floor, then slowly looks at me. A tear runs down her cheek. You couldn't have made it on time anyway. I picked up my phone to call you. I flipped it open, then I looked at the rest of the kids on the team." She pauses. I could imagine them standing there thinking about the chance to be on Good Morning America with that huge trophy. And me. Rose continues in a whisper. We looked at each other. Everyone made a tiny head shake. "No." "All of them?" I shiver. Rose sniffles and whispers finally. "So I closed my phone, and when I got on the plane, I never made the call." How can silence be so loud? Mr. Deming finally says quietly, "I'm so very sorry, Melody. So sorry." Rose bursts into tears, then puts her head down on her desk. "Just before the competition," Molly explains, "a reporter from the Washington Post came to interview the team, but he left when he found out you weren't there." Connor walks up to the front of the room, then picks up a ninth place trophy and brings it to me. He stammers and licks his lip. The team kind of wants you to have this, Melody, sort of to make up." He places it on my tray. The thing is small, made of cheap plastic, and that has been painted to look like metal. The name of the school is even spelled wrong on the faceplate. I look at that ugly little statue and I start to giggle. Then I crack up. Finally, I roll with laughter. My hand jerks out and hits the trophy. I'm not sure if it was an accident or not, and it falls to the floor, breaking into several pieces. Class stares at me with surprise. When they see that I'm not going to ballistic on them, they finally start to laugh as well, a little. Even the volume as loud as it will go, I add, "You deserve it." Still laughing, I click on the power to my chair, do a smooth turn, and I roll myself out of the classroom. Chapter 33, last chapter. 5th grade is probably pretty rocky for lots of kids. Homework, never being quite sure if you're cool enough, clothes, parents, wanting to play with toys and wanting to be grown up all at the same time, underarm odor. I guess I have all of that, plus about a million different layers of other stuff to deal with. Making people understand what I want. Worrying about what I look like. Fitting in. Will a boy ever like me? Maybe I'm not so different from everyone else at all. It's like somebody gave me a puzzle, but I don't have the box with the picture on it. So I don't know what the final thing is supposed to look like. I'm not even sure I have all the pieces. That's probably not a good comparison since I couldn't put a puzzle together even if I wanted to. Even though I usually know the answers to most of the questions at school, lots of stuff still puzzles me. Penny came home from the hospital with bumps and bruises, a cast, and a new red hat. Doodle is back in her arms. They're spoiling her ride. That's okay with me. Even Butterscotch is treating Penny like she's an injured puppy. The dog has brought her all her favorite stuffed toys into Penny's rooms, like gifts. Today I'm working on Miss Gordon's autobiography project. Elvira plugged into the computer. Classical music is softly sleeping from her new iPod. I hear soft purple. This is going to take a while, so much is stuffed inside my mind. I have lots to say and just one thumb to say it with. I guess I'll start at the very beginning. Words. I'm surrounded by thousands of words, maybe millions. Cathedral, mayonnaise, pomegranate, Mississippi, Neapolitan, hippopotamus, silky, terrifying, iridescent, tickle, sneeze, wish, worry. Words have always swirled around me like snowflakes, each one with delicate and different, each one melting untouched in my hands. Deep within me, words pile up in huge drifts, mountains of phrases and sentences, connected ideas, clever expressions, jokes, love songs. From the time I was really little, maybe just a few months old, words were like sweet liquid gifts, and I drank them like lemonade. I could almost taste them. They made my jumbled thoughts and feelings have substance. My parents have always blanketed me with conversation. They chatted and babbled. They verbalized and vocalized. My father sang to me. My mother whispered her strength in my ear. Every word my parents spoke to me or about me I absorbed and kept remembered. All of them. I have no idea how untangled the complicated process of words and thought, but it happened quickly and naturally. By time as I was 2, all my memories had words, and all my words had meanings, but only in my head. I have never spoken a single word, and I am almost 11 years old. We're done. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that book. Like I said, the question that I want you guys to respond to, and this that all of you should be able to respond to, is what have you learned about how to treat people who are different from you? So, thinking about this book, thinking about Melody, thinking about students in her class, what have you learned about how to treat people who are different than you? And I want you to think about, don't just say something that sounds good. I want you to do it as well. Okay. I want this to be a book that changes how you view others that are different, and I want it to change how you treat others that are different. So go ahead and start that into the chat, please. Jonah says, I've learned that I should be kind to all people. It doesn't matter if they're like me or have a disability or are different. Everyone deserves to have people be nice to them. I agree. Very good. Hannah says, you should treat them the same. They're still humans and still have feelings. You should never put someone, never just, you should never just someone because they are different than you. Absolutely. Kai says, I have learned that it does not matter if they are different or not, like you treat normal people. And in the end, what's really normal, right? I, yeah, who knows what normal really is? So you're absolutely right. I think people should be nice to them and people should have feelings and happiness too, right? Hannah, yeah. As it showed in the book, Melody might be different, but she's still very smart, like all of us, even if she's a little different. Thank you for reading this book to us. I liked it. Thanks for being. I miss you. Have a great summer. Thank you, Jonah. I'm going to miss you guys too. That was sweet of you. All right. So I hope this book kind of changed how we can view other people and how we treat other people. I think this book is a great book to help us understand what somebody with a disability thinks, um, because we don't always get that we don't always have the opportunity to know what they're thinking. And so this understand that it gives us the perspective of the parents that are going through that, gives us the perspective of the child that's going through it, and it helps us kind of look from the outside in as far as what it can look like as a student when we're not nice to someone with a disability. So thank you guys for joining. Thank you for being here with us. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Is our Zoom. Okay. Last Zoom. I hope you guys can join us. I will put all that information on our Blooms page so you know how to get logged on. I hope all of you can come, especially since it's our last one. Thank you for who you guys are. You guys are all very, very kind people, and I love you guys, and I hope you have a great day today.